Dark Jedi were a mysterious and powerful sect of dark side users that practiced the dark side of the Force but did not conform to the ways of the Sith. Oftentimes, Dark Jedi were those that once followed the Jedi Order themselves but were corrupted by the ways of the Dark and thus fell under its grasp. At the same time, not choosing to conform to the code and way of the Sith, in some cases hating the way of the Sith but not choosing to fight against the Order in the way of the light, but dark side of the Force. Today, we will be discussing and counting down the top 6 Dark Jedi in the Star Wars universe. Number 6, Savage Opress. Savage Opress was the brother to the famed Sith assassin and apprentice Darth Maul. Savage was chosen directly from a group of Knight brothers to become the secret servant of Asajj Ventress, in hopes that one day she could use him to help destroy her former master, Count Dooku. Savage was imbued with Night Sister magic, forming him into a rage-fueled monster and increasing his physical strength and abilities drastically. Over the course of the Clone Wars, Savage found and helped recuperate his brother Maul, later becoming his apprentice. Although the two then called themselves Sith Lords, the true Lord of the Sith, Darth Sidious, considered them pretenders. Savage was a physical specimen, displaying great magnitude in the Force, but oftentimes only under extreme stress. Savage, along with his brother, brought great hardship to the galaxy, and he was only stopped when Sidious himself became directly involved, even staving off the might of the Jedi. Number 5, Jarek. Jarek was once an esteemed Jedi Master and archaeologist. Once the Jedi fell, however, this all changed. In the years following the events of Order 66, Jarek was defeated and captured by Imperial Inquisitors that turned him to the dark side. Jarek then took on the role of Inquisitor for himself, becoming one of the most powerful and knowledgeable of the Emperor's many tools. After the death of the Emperor and destruction of the Galactic Empire, Jarek founded a new group of 7 Dark Jedi in hopes of discovering the ancient Valley of the Jedi and harnessing its power for his own. Eventually, Jarek achieved his goal, but was confronted by the Jedi Kyle Katarn. Following a spectacular duel, Jarek was defeated by Katarn, but was offered the opportunity to turn back to the light and be spared. Jarek, however, refused the offer, instead opting for one more attack. Jarek was then slain by Kyle within the valley he had long searched for. Number 4, Fallen Starkiller. In one ending for the Force Unleashed game, Galen Marek was maimed and broken by the might of the Emperor after being crushed by a ship. But instead of the Emperor choosing to kill him outright, he rebuilt him with cybernetics, forming him into the Starkiller Assassin. The fallen Starkiller was challenged with hunting down and killing Luke Skywalker, taking on the temporary role of the Emperor's apprentice and Imperial Enforcer. Starkiller ventured the galaxy, being used specifically as a weapon, tearing through and destroying many of the Empire's rivals and enemies. As Starkiller did so, he was tortured with the memories of betraying his friends in favor of vengeance, and living with the knowledge that one day he would be killed in favor of a far more powerful apprentice, and cast aside by the Emperor as Vader had been before him. Number 3, Sora Bulk. Sora Bulk was a talented warrior and Jedi during the years prior to the Clone Wars. He was considered among the Order's most trusted and wisest, but the power and temptation of the dark eventually seized him. For years, in secret, Sora had studied the dark side, finding a fascination with its teachings. During the Clone Wars, following the Battle of Geonosis, Bulk was captured by Count Dooku and fully devoted himself to the dark side, becoming one of the Count's many Dark Jedi and eventually its leader. Bulk attempted to kill and splinter the Jedi from within, turning them on each other, but this plan was eventually foiled. Bulk then became a public supporter of the Separatists and Dark Acolyte, forming a very personal and heated rivalry with Mace Windu. Bulk was an expert duelist and assassin, killing many of his former brothers and sisters, even assassinating Council member-level Jedi Masters. Bulk was a valuable commodity for the Separatists, but the time eventually came and he was cast aside by those more powerful than him. Number 2, Asajj Ventress. Asajj Ventress is probably the most well-known Dark Jedi, and for good reason. Ventress was the personal apprentice to Count Dooku, and was the very best assassin the Separatists had to offer. Ventress is largely considered one of the best Jedi killers to have ever lived, constantly engaging legendary Jedi like Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, and even Mace Windu. Ventress earned every last bit of fear and praise received by her presence, and could hold her own against nearly every opponent thrown her way, no matter how esteemed. She took years studying and fighting Force users, eventually being betrayed by her master, but even the reach of the Sith could not permanently vanquish Ventress. The Dark Jedi would later return and attempt to take revenge. Ventress was also one of the few Dark Jedi to receive redemption, finding hope in her love for the Jedi Quinlan Vos and turning to the light before her demise at the hand of her former master. Number 1, Maul. Maul was a unique Dark Jedi in the sense that before he was one, he was a true Sith Lord before being replaced by Darth Sidious via the Rule of Two after he was defeated by the Jedi Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi on Naboo. Maul did return, however, for a time, calling himself a Sith Lord yet again, but after yet another crippling defeat, this time on behalf of Sidious, Maul renounced the Sith entirely, in large part blaming them for the hardship that was his life. Nonetheless, however, Maul used his teachings and skill in the dark side to further his goal of destroying the Sith and Jedi. Maul used his great knowledge and insight into the Sith to his advantage, exposing many of its secrets and attempting to obtain a weapon that had the potential to vanquish them entirely. He was not only a legendary duelist and fighter, but also someone who is fully aware of how his enemy operates, making him a giant threat to those under the guise of the Empire. Unlike the Jedi, Maul is ruthless and will do anything to further his own goals, still reveling in the death and suffering of others and finding great joy in the destruction of his enemies. Although now a Dark Jedi and no longer Sith, Maul is still very much fueled by the hatred he has for those he sees has wronged him. So that was, in my opinion, the top 6 Dark Jedi. I hope you enjoyed the list, even if you don't agree with it fully. So tell me down below, who is your favorite Dark Jedi, and why? I also left a hint in this video to my next Star Wars top 6 list. Can you guess what it is? Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you.